So we're gonna go over today is Xrefing. Both first we're gonna do an image. So um, if you could go to Canvas and download the image, um, it's just a small little floor plan I found on the internet, and just want to show you guys kind of how you could import like an existing drawing to start tracing it and stuff like that. So. Just some standards that you want to use because you don't necessarily want to like trace every line, but we're gonna start. So if you haven't done so, go through Canvas now and we will download that image. So we do some Xrefing, like I said. So basically what an Xref is an external reference. You could do a PDF, you could do an image. The most common two are images and DWGs. You'll use it to trace like existing floor plans or existing conditions. If you're in like a surveying thing, you may download something from AGSVIS or something like that. So you get topography lines and stuff like that. Just to start, and then you'll go out and survey it and make sure they're all correct. But if you're in architecture engineering, you may do it to do like draw elevations or sections or something like that. Engineering, like structural engineering, you may do it. You may actually Xref like an entire kind of structural grid inside of a drawing. A lot of times the architects will do so they know they can't change that structural grid because it's all been calculated already. So the first thing we're gonna do is it's under the Insert tab. So we're here on the second one. And then it's the third column over, so we have the block and the block definition, which we've kind of already done. And then here it's attach. So you click that little guy right there, attach. Well, I guess I gotta be, there you go. So in here, now you're gonna go find wherever you saved it. I don't even remember where I saved mine. Downloads. There it is. I changed mine just to say Studio APT. And you guys could just leave it as like that long generic name. Generally, you want to kind of change the name to what, so that you know what you're referencing if you have like multiple references in there. Then we go ahead and open. So you can see a new dialog box comes up. Cool. So far, so good.
It's under studio, right?
I can't find it.
You don't have to name it. It doesn't matter.
It's just easier.
Just-
Word.
Okay, so in here in the dialog box, there's quite a few different things that you kind of need to know. The relative path versus the full path. So a relative path is if you have this file in the downloads file, right? And you go and you open it up at your house, it's gonna read it differently because it's a relative path. So it's actually referencing that full, C drive, documents, your name, downloads, like it's referencing the whole thing, right? So generally speaking, you're gonna try to create a folder that says Xrefs or something like that. But just for this one, we're just gonna go ahead and use it from the download file. It's not the folder, it's not a big deal right now. And then the full path is a specific path. No path will actually attach 100%. So, but sometimes you'll notice when you have relative path, it'll say, hey, we can't find this. You could always reattach the same image if the link's broken, so it's not really a terrible, like, oh my god, the world's going to end. So for the scale, if you know that your drawing is scanned in at a certain scale, you could type it in here, or you could drop it in and then scale it up, blah, blah, blah. We don't know what this scale is. We do have dimensions on there, and that's really important. If you don't know what the scale of the drawing is, you want some sort of dimension to reference so that you can blow it up to full scale. The insertion point, yeah, I'm just going to specify it on screen. We're actually going to do 0, 0, 0, 0, like always, because we like to start there. And then the rotation is that if you scan something in and it scans the wrong orientation, you could always rotate it in AutoCAD. So we're not going to really touch anything right now. So we're just going to go ahead and OK. And then you're going to see it's actually like similar to a block where it's actually waiting for you to drop it in. So we're going to type 0, 0. And then the next prompt, so it's basically asking you all these prompts because we had all the check boxes on there that says specify on screen, right? So we're going to do 1 for now because I don't know what the scale is. And then it'll drop in. So you can see a little itty bitty little image there, right? So the one thing I wanted to do first too, because this drawing is in feet, let's go ahead and let's type in units. And then the length we're going to actually change to architectural because then it'll allow us, and then the insertion scale we'll do to feet because then it'll allow us to scale it up just using those dimensions that are there. Cool? Yep. Yeah, you hit OK. So now we have a drawing in here.
I got an error.
No, just hit OK. It's not an error. It's just telling you. It's telling that you've already put something in this drawing, and it's telling you that you're switching units, and some things may not come out to the correct sizes. But we really haven't done anything but insert the image, so it's not a big deal. So kind of the first thing you want to do, you kind of want to look for the largest dimension. In this case, we're going to look for the wholest dimension, and that's 19'8" down here on the bottom. Okay, so what we actually want to do, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come over here and we're going to change because it's a lot easier to trace stuff when you're not tracing in white. So if you go back to the Home tab and then come over to Properties, I'm just going to make it red. So my lines are going to draw red automatically because you'll see trying to trace over a white image, you're going to be like, did I draw a line? Like, is it there? Like, so I'll trace in some sort of other color. So if you guys want to do so, you can. And then we're just going to zoom in. And we're kind of just going to pick a point that's relatively close to the start of that dimension line. So I'm down here at the 19'8" one at the bottom of the image. Make sure your ortho's on, so F8 or the little toggle down the bottom. We're going to come straight across, and it's really nothing super scientific. You're just kind of eyeballing it. Like I said, you're not going to trace everything in here. We're going to trace part of it, and then we're going to use our own judgment based on common knowledge and stuff, wall thickness, all that stuff to offset. So you're going to basically draw and end your line kind of at the end of the dimension. So you have a line that roughly, it's not necessarily 19'8" right now, right? But we're going to use that to scale the drawing up 19'8". So everybody got that? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to scale it up. So SC for scale, or it's on the Home tab under the Modify. Okay, scale. Yep. Then select both the image and the line. Okay, then you hit Enter. So then we're going to go after, because it's the only two things we're picking. We're not picking anything else. So for the base point, we're going to use the start of the line. Okay, so make sure you have your O snap on and you're clicking the start of the line. Okay, so now you're going to see here, but I want to reference that line for the scale. So if I come up here and I can click the reference name itself, or I can type R. So we're going to go ahead and re-reference there. Then I'm going to click the start and then click the end of the line. And then now you can see it's scaling equally to that line. So again, scale, select both. Your start point is going to be the start. Then you're going to reference. Pick one end, pick the other end, and then you go. So we're going to go ahead and type in 19'8".
What was the reference thing?
What's that?
What was the reference thing?
The line that we drew, the red line that I drew. So you want to pick the start and then pick the end. So basically now I mean, this may not be perfectly to scale like in real life, right? But it's relatively close enough that I could use it as a reference drawing now. So then what we could do is we could actually start and, you could start with a rectangle, start in the corner. Then, I mean, you could start to trace this image however you very well please. I'm not really going to go over exactly how to trace it because I think you guys are all familiar now. I mean, you're drawing floor plans now too, so it'd be the same concept of drawing the floor plan. But like I said, so if someone had a floor plan that they needed to drop in CAD, I mean, a lot of times it happens, you get an existing building that was drawn by hand, so you need some sort of drawing that you're working on, or an existing anything, streets or whatever. If you're in manufacturing, some of the manufacturing drawings are in hand still. So this is kind of a good tool that you're able to drop it in there to use so that you could do that. So like I said, that you have the image in there. You could start tracing it. I don't care if you guys do, but you could start to create the wall thickness and kind of all that different stuff like that, right? I would suggest not necessarily like offsetting the walls or tracing the walls. I would suggest offsetting them at like a dimension that So, the wall thickness is 5 inches. I wouldn't trace the outside of the wall and the inside of the wall. I would just offset it 5 inches, and it may not line up perfectly with your scanned image.
Man, that's a lot of work.
It happens, dude. There's people.
But it's a lot more work to do the whole picture, right?
Yeah, if you trace the whole thing, and I suggest scaling it up right at the beginning, because I've seen people not scale it and trace everything, and then they scale it up, and then their wall's like 6 1/4 or 7 7/16 or something,
If we want to insert like images
Yeah.
to the project, we'll have to do all this, right?
Yeah.
But we can just put it in space and then move it in
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean a lot of like logos and stuff, like when people
that's easy.
they're actually images that are logos. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, that's just up to scale. You're just gonna scale it to whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly kind of show you the other way to do it. So if you type in Xref or XR, you'll see this file tab comes up, right? So you can see up here where it says DWG, I could attach a DWG. You can actually see here first, you can see that we have it loaded. So if I go ahead and I unload, you can see the image goes away, right? But so this is a way to so you can see how your drawing looks without having that image behind it. So you can constantly turn it on, off, right? And I could simply reload and it'll drop it right back, and then so I can keep tracing, right? The other way to do it, if you're in properties, so if we go to properties and I have this image here, I could change the brightness and the contrast, and I could change the fade. So everyone see how I did that there? It's here in the image adjust. If I click the little button here, it'll bring it up, and I could actually go like this, hit OK, and you can see it's kind of faded out, so it's not quite as bright, so it's a little easier to trace too.
Oh.
Yeah.
I go to DWD and I click on it, comes up a bunch of different.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Okay.
Slow down. So the properties are quite different for like a raster image than it would be for a block or a drawing or anything like that. So you could put it on a different layer. You could have it on an Xref layer, and you could turn off the layer on and off so the image goes away. Or you could do a tag or load and unload the same here. So so here you could change the path type, select a new path. So remember I was saying if for some reason your image gets broken and it won't appear and you're trying to trace something because like a folder got renamed, or you move computers and it's not necessarily in the same relative path, you could go ahead and here and hit select new path. or you could do find and replace. So if you were to click this and we go ahead and we could replace with, and I could go find another picture, and it'll actually take that image and drop it straight in the same box. The thing is, it's gonna keep the same boundary that this does too. So if this is 20 by 30 and your new image is 20 by 40, it's gonna scale it to be 20 by 30. So it's kind of tricky when you do that kind of stuff. But if for some reason the image does break, this is where you're gonna reattach it here. So you can hit select new, and you could go through, go find your, wherever it is, downloads folder, and you can reattach it there. So if, like I said, if you're to move computers, that'd be the way to do it. You can see here exactly where the path is. If you hover over it, you're gonna see exactly where that path is, where that file should be, in case it does move. So in here, in the first kind of box, it's gonna give you all the different files and stuff that you have attached in your drawing, right? For this instance, we just have drawing 1, and that's just the drawing that we're in. And then you have this, your guys' probably has like the 4,000 characters or whatever it is, the name of the picture, right? So the next thing I wanted to do was drop in a drawing. So everyone still have 2 rooms, right? We're gonna drop in 2 rooms. So if I hit DWG, the new file is gonna come up. Then go ahead and find your 2 rooms. That's really slow. And then if we hit open, yeah, it's just, I'm just showing you that it's gonna open up a different drawing. You know how to open a drawing, so you could actually open a drawing and reference it. Yes.
So last time I said the 2 rooms, it was in layout mode, and so my image is gonna have.
It doesn't matter.
Won't matter?
What? Yeah, you can go ahead. So it's gonna come in really small because that one was probably in inches. So it scales it down because we had that drawing that was in inches. It wasn't actually in feet. So, but it's just this is just to show you the process of actually dropping in your drawing, not necessarily like exactly. So
how did you get your drawing so large?
I zoomed in. That's all I did. That's all I did. I just zoomed in, man.
That's something I would ask.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So if it did happen to come in small, you could simply scale the whole thing up by 12. So now it's as big as.
Yeah, well, I'm zooming in with the whole picture zooming and everything's zooming in.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's scale everything up. So you could actually select that Xref now. So it reads like a block, right? So it's one piece. You can't adjust individual items, right?
Could you, if you exploded it?
Go ahead, try.
I don't want to.
So if you explode,
You said by 12, right?
what does it say? It says 1 was an external reference and it can't do it. Yeah. It's different than a block.
So if we
Yes.
scaled,
Oh, so let's say we want specific like the units, we had to change it to architectural. How do we change that so it could be permanent, like for like mine?
I really don't even know. Because I use inches to do it, so it's better.
Mine isn't showing up for some reason. It says invalid.
It says invalid.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like a common practice of dropping your floor plan in that you've drawn so that you could draw an elevation or section of something, or like a projection view, right? So this is another way to use your construction lines. So we'll use some more of those. So XL, okay. So we've done like offset and stuff so far. Right now we're gonna do vertical lines. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a bunch of vertical lines that are just running straight up from all the different things that would be visible from this, we'll call it the south elevation, or looking basically, if I'm standing here looking at the building looking this way. So I want to actually do XL, and I'm just going to type in V, and it's going to constrain it to be perfectly vertical. Okay? Yeah. And then I'm just going to do this rather fast. We're just going to click kind of all of these little guys here. Probably that one too. I don't need to do this because I can simply mirror it across, right? So right now there's just a bunch of infinite lines.
V for vertex?
Vertical.
Vertical.
Yep. Or you can click the word vert up on the top. Then the next one I want to do is I want to do a horizontal one. So if it's XL, and you can type in H, or it's XL and it's this button here. Okay, so that'll give me my ground, right? And I'm just gonna use a couple numbers. So we're gonna offset this one 12 feet. Okay, so if we offset the horizontal line and I type in 12 feet, or it's 144 inches, and I offset it there. This is just kind of trying to create like the kind of mimic a roof line right now, right? Okay. And then I'm also going to offset, and I'm going to offset it. We'll do 96 just because it's even, or it's 8 foot. And then I'm going to do one more that's just 4 foot. Okay? Or 48 inches. So you should have something similar, and it doesn't look like a bunch of mumbo jumbo right now, but you'll see really quick like how quickly you could really draw an elevation really fast, real quick this way. So, so after you have all these lines, the next step is trim. So we're gonna trim, TR, or trim is also up here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and select all of my extension lines. Good luck. So after I select all of my extension lines, you hit spacebar, and then trim the whole outside like that, so that we're left with a box with a bunch of lines inside of it. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do is trim again, and then this time I'm just gonna select the internal lines now. Okay. And then I'm gonna pick these two here, and then there, and there. Oops. Come on. Oops, I wanted to keep that one. Sorry. And then I want to offset this one up to, this one down to, this one down to.
So just leave those two boxes.
Top of the window and the bottom of the window, and then the top of the door. 2 inches, just like the frame width. Then you'd go in and trim out the rest of it so that you have a simple. Or you could fill it and it would work the same way. Yeah? Then we could take this, we could mirror it and mirror it across the whole thing. And basically we drew a very rudimentary kind of elevation of the building. So I need to go open up the 2 rooms drawing so that I could do this. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Yeah, look at that elevation, just like that. I mean, obviously, to draw it, you kind of need to know what heights and stuff are. But for now, we're just kind of just trying to give you guys into the mode of drawing that kind of drawing.
So I already corrected it. the inside too?
Yeah, so you should basically end up with something like this.
Oh, the inside of all the squares.
Yep. So the real cool thing about Xref is if I go in here, so now I'm in my 2 rooms drawing. Okay. Just pay attention for like 5 minutes, and then you could go back to trying to finish your drawing. So if we're in my 2 rooms drawing now, right? And I go ahead and I say I want to stretch this wall and make it another foot, and I want to make this one another foot, right? And I go and I save this drawing. Okay. Then I come back to my drawing. You see how it says this? You can see there's a big exclamation point. What that's telling you is, hey, this drawing's been updated. So if I come in here and I reload all my references, you can see that the window now. So now I could simply draw my new extension line, right, or construction line, and stretch it. So that's the cool thing about having the external references, because it'll always update. It'll tell you when there's an update. So it's just kind of a cool way to do it. Yeah, yeah. The other thing that you may do in an Xref, like you know how we did the finished floor plan, and we hatched all these guys right here, and we made it so that in the layouts we picked which layer it goes. Some offices may actually have you draw the hatches in a different drawing like this. So you could still come in here, and I should show you this here. So you can see here that the layers are a little different. So instead of just the layer name, it actually gives the drawing name first, right? Then a pipe, which is the little symbol there, which is the vertical line, and then the layer itself. So I could come in here, and you can see, because the last time I saved my drawing, the floor pattern was off, right? So I could come in here and I could turn the floor pattern on, and I could turn off the door and the door swing, and click off, what was it, furniture and fixture and counter, right? Then if I come back, you can see that it's actually reads that way too.
So that would be the benefit of inputting it this way versus a block, right? 'Cause
Yep.
you have these options.
Yep. So it's constantly updating. Every time you update versus the block, you have to like redefine the block every time you insert it. And then when you insert the block, it's not necessarily going to be in the same exact spot that you inserted it last time. This one will always stay in the same spot unless I actually move it, right? I mean, I could come over and I could actually take this and make it 10 times bigger, right? Whatever, maybe not 10 times. But if I save it, come back to my drawing 1, it's going to tell me, and I'm going to reload. And you can see that the left side, the insertion point, which was my left side down here, didn't change. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying the Xrefs are good for when you're putting into another drawing and doing that, because a lot of times you have elevations, you have different layers than your floor plans. Because in your elevations, you're actually gonna have like just what's closer to you, what's further away, and a lot of people actually just use like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just 1 is thin and 5 is thick, and it's just like literally just you want the things that are closer to you to be like a bigger, thicker boulder line, and stuff that's receding in the background a little bit lighter. So, are there any questions right now?